Hello, I'm here today to talk about veganism and to discuss, can it really rescue us and can it rescue the planet? My name is Janice Thompson. I'm a professor of public health, nutrition and exercise here in the School of Sport, Exercise and Rehabilitation Sciences at the University of Birmingham. And I think most people are aware that veganism seems to be everywhere. Headlines, talked about, discussion groups, social media, the whole bit. And there's a lot going around about, is it good? Is it bad? Should we do it? Do we have to do it? Or the planet is going to fall apart immediately? So I want to talk a little bit about that today and hopefully bring some rationality and some clarity to some of the issues. So we do know, a recent survey has shown that about 7% of the UK, adults in the UK claim to be vegans, and about 14% of the UK claim to follow a vegetarian sort of eating plan. And what do these things mean? What's the difference between being a vegetarian and being a vegan? Well, vegetarian is really a more overarching sort of umbrella term for different types of plant-based eating plans. So vegan, it would be one of them. Vegan is exclusively plant-based, so fruits, vegetables, whole grains, that type of thing, pulses. But we also have, for example, lacto-ovo vegetarian. Lacto means milk, ovo means egg. So there are people who eat predominantly plant-based foods, but also might consume some dairy and some egg. There are other people, there's even a term called Flexitarian, which you might have heard of. Flexitarians tend to eat predominantly plant-based foods, but they might have occasionally maybe a bit of chicken or fish. They might avoid red meats, and maybe not exclusively, but again, the point is it's a predominant plant-based diet with eating other bits of food that might come from animal sources. And so there is a bit of an argument and a lot of passion. Food's very personal. Not just for our health, but it is food can be love. Food is sharing. Food's we all need it, or we can't survive. So there's a lot of debate, and I always like to think of it as finding the sort of eating pattern that works best for you. But now we do have to think about, is it just about us, or do we need to think broader about our environment and about the planet and what we can do? So there is, again, some more recent evidence that we probably do need to cut down how much meat we consume, how much dairy we consume. But do we really need to be a vegan and avoid all meat-based products in order to save the planet? And that's probably not the case. Even just reducing significantly, and you can do that. Maybe you go to a meat-free Monday, maybe you opt to have only small amounts of meat every day, maybe for one meal, or maybe meat becomes a treat. There's lots of different ways, particularly within you might have faith beliefs and other things, but there's lots of different ways to be creative and to integrate and to move towards a more plant-based diet, and that will help the planet. And we definitely know that eating a more plant-based diet does significantly reduce our risks for chronic diseases like heart disease, some forms of cancer, type 2 diabetes. It can be, it is a very healthy way to eat. Some of the challenges, though, particularly of veganism. So being a vegan does require that you become knowledgeable about food, and you do need to plan and think about what you're going to be eating, because there are certain nutrients that are only present in animal-based foods. For instance, iron, the minerals, iron and zinc, are only in plant-based food. Vitamins or vitamins, such as riboflavin, which is a B vitamin, and vitamin D, which is hardly in any foods at all. It's mostly from sunlight. So we do have some nutrients of concern. Now in the UK, we're pretty fortunate because we are in a developed country with ample access to high quality protein foods. That means we can buy vegan foods that are fortified, they're supplemented with the nutrients of concern when you eat a vegan diet. So it's important that you integrate those foods to make sure you get those nutrients. Some of them you need daily because they're what we call water soluble, which means you excrete them in your urine. So some things we do need every day, some things we don't need as often, but this is where you need to kind of read up and get into the knowledge about this. The other issue that's always been a concern is protein. Now, animal protein, animal-based proteins, is what we call a complete protein. That means it's got all the amino acids, which are the building blocks that humans need to sustain healthy protein, a protein status in our bodies. Interestingly, again, in the UK, we can very easily get high quality, even plant-based proteins through what we call mutual supplementation. That's simply combining foods that we might normally eat together. So if you're a vegan and you want to make sure you're getting high quality protein intake, you could combine a meal of rice and beans, lentils in a soup that also has maybe some other grains. It would be something like some seeds or nuts in a spinach salad with some kidney beans. So those are all examples of really straightforward ways that we combine different plant sources, and because of the different amino acid combinations in those different foods, when you pull them together in a meal or throughout a 24-hour period, we get a complete protein. So that's really fantastic. Now, that's not as easy to achieve for people maybe on a low income, for people who can't access or afford some of those foods. Sometimes with older adults that might be an issue. It could be an issue also with maybe low-income families. We also need to put foods together that we will eat. Putting together something that's a complete meal or a complete protein, if you don't like the taste of it and you're not going to consume it, doesn't really do us much good. So, but you can definitely be a healthy person who eats a vegan diet. You will be very healthy, but you do need to make sure that you know about how to combine those foods in an appropriate way. I think finally, when we really think about the impact on the planet, we are feeling, I think, all quite stressed and urgent about this. So we can't all fix the world as an individual, but we can make small individual choices, or maybe even a little bit bigger individual choices that work. So we benefit personally. We also will benefit the environment more broadly, and also by improving our own health and the health of the planet. In a way, we also, well, actually not in a way directly, we will help reduce, let's say, the personal burden of disease, the personal burden of ill health, and also the bigger burden we have on our health system and things of that nature. So I think that it's really worth giving it a try, even just to eat more plant-based foods. You don't have to become a vegan to eat really healthfully or eat a plant-based diet, and there's still a lot of benefits no matter how you decide you want to take that path. So we're looking forward to any comments. We'd love to hear from you, and thanks for your time.